The Schrodinger's Catbox.
Hello, this is Dan Nobles and welcome to the Schrodinger Catbox. In this video, I'd like to talk about the theory of paranormal activity or ghosts. Parapsychology, somewhat like ufology, seems to be an area that seems to have a lot of trouble with evidence. There seems to be a ton of evidence in both fields. It's just that it's just not quite conclusive. Or, I guess, depending on who you are and the way you look at it, it could be conclusive or not quite. Definitely the mainstream scientific community does not put a whole lot of credence towards the paranormal. For the most part, there are a growing number of scientists that are actually doing studies and leaning towards developing theories in that area. But the strange thing to me about things like the paranormal, and let's just say we're talking about, ghosts, trying to find whether a ghost exists or a ghost exists or not. The strange thing about the evidence that you find in these situations is it's usually just so subjective. I mean, one person can look at the evidence and see and say, definitely that is paranormal, and another person can look at it and say, no, you're not seeing anything there. And why is this? Why is there no hard evidence that anybody could look at and say, okay, there's no question about this. Ghosts exist. I can see it. Here's the evidence right here. Well, maybe there is some of that evidence. If you look at photographs and listen to EVPs and studies that have been done. But again, it gets very subjective to the person that is observing the evidence. And in many cases, there's a scientific reason for this. Let's just talk about EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, where they, take a voice recorder of some sort and do a session where you try to contact spirits or the paranormal or whatever's there in order to get some kind of feedback from them. Well, when you listen to something like an EVP, there is something that happens when you're trying to determine a noise that is entering into your ear, get into your brain, and your brain's trying to figure it out. And I don't have the scientific term for it right now. I can't bring it up in my brain, but basically what it means is your brain tries to understand what it's hearing and will actually fill in the blanks, so to speak, in order to make some sense of the information. This is the same thing with visual information. When you're seeing something and you don't quite understand what it is, your brain can't comprehend it, then your brain will fill in that information in order to make some sense of it. This happens with remembering like a tragic incident in your life. Your brain will try to fill in the areas, the gaps that can't quite grasp. It happens when you look at a piece of art. If it's very abstract art and really has no particular meaning generally, the brain will look at it and it will extract the meaning of that art. And that's the great thing about art. That's why when you look at art, everybody sees it differently. Everybody finds different meaning in it. When you listen to a song and listen to lyrics that don't generally, point out exactly what the song is about or what exactly the songwriter was saying, we will fill in those missing concepts with our brain and make some sense out of it. And in many cases, that's what's going on with things like EVPs and even looking at images of the paranormal. Because what we're hearing and seeing can't be readily understood, we will fill in some of those blanks. Now, I'm not saying that that means that every EVP and every photograph that you've seen of the paranormal is not anything but your brain filling in what's there. In many cases, you can have a number of people agree what they're listening to or what they're seeing. And then you get into, sort of like a tainted type of evidence thing where, if somebody says, oh, it says this, then you start to think in your brain, well, you start leaning towards what that might be. And then you hear it. But it all brings us back to, why is there no hard evidence in the paranormal that everybody can agree on? And you have to think, well, what is the paranormal? What are ghosts? Where does this come from? Is it the spirit world, or is it something else that's happened? I mean, it could even be something like a parallel dimension or timeline that is overlaying on our own. It can be residual information that is passed through our timeline that comes through like an echo. It can be a number of things. First, I think we have to find out, are these things really just echoes from the past, or echoes of something that has happened? If that's the case, then we need to look at why things are looping within our world. I mean, in other words, why things seem to repeat themselves in some form of energy. There's some kind of residual energy that happens there. And I believe that would get into quantum theory, that would make something like that happen. However, if there are definite cases of intelligent communication with the paranormal, in other words, if there's a ghost and they are actually responding in real time, in today's time, even though they may supposedly have existed long ago, then to me that seems to point towards the spirit world and something that is still trying to communicate, something that's still there. So, do ghosts really exist? Well, I think something like the UFO phenomena, I think something is going on that we can't explain, like loud birds. But I don't think there's like this mass hypnotic type thing that people are under, that, these certain type of people, only certain type of people can believe in this stuff. I know there's a lot of people that, they'll just brush it away completely and say that, it's all stupidity. And I think those people suffer from lack of an open mind. I think you have to have an open mind in order to receive information that may not readily be there. I mean, when you think about light, for example, I mean, light covers a huge spectrum, and we only see in a very small part of that spectrum. So it's kind of very short-sighted of us to just say that what we see and what we experience in this small spectrum that we have is all that's there. There's things going on. We need to continue to explore them, investigate them, try to understand what it is that's happening. And that's part of the mysteries of the universe. I think that's really something that's really beautiful about the universe, is that we can continue to make new discoveries and find new things, discover mysteries that we didn't even know existed before. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on the whole paranormal thing. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are. Have you ever really seen a ghost? And be kind of detailed about it. I mean, what did you see? What happened? And what do you believe it is? And also, if you haven't seen any kind of paranormal thing, like, I don't think that I've ever seen a ghost per se. I have experienced some happenings that either could be or could maybe not be explained by normal means. Anyway, please comment and let me know what you think about paranormal. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.